another episode of Unapologetic with Dr. G, where I get to sit with some powerhouse minded people that are doing some amazing things. And today is unlike any other time, of course, and like all the other times as well, because we have another dynamic woman here today with us. And so we have Shannon Donaldson with Culture Reads from Forbes the Culture, a member. So, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here today.
Oh, and we're very honored to have you here on our platform. So, you know what? Let me ask you this. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, but then I want to know what you are unapologetic about in this moment.
Well, my name is Shannon. I am a nurse of 16 years and counting. However, I work within healthcare IT. So I work with EMRs. I teach doctors and nurses how to use the new electronic medical records. I am also a Forbes for the Culture member. I am one of the co hosts of the Culture Reads Book Club and podcast for the FTC, the Forbes the Culture. Uh, I am also an author. I have written a book about my journey versus fibromyalgia. And I'm also a co author of another book called The Story for the Gods. That book was compiled of around 30 women from all over the world, and we all shared a short story about ourselves.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. So, let's talk about your books for a little bit. Have you always loved reading?
Yes, I like to get away in books. Books allow you to travel to places that you may not necessarily get to go to, especially during times like this, during the pandemic. It's a good way to escape from what's going on around you. It's also can be very informative. You can learn a lot. You can do a lot of self improvement and just get educated on various topics.
Okay. So how long have you been reading? Has it always been something that from being a young child to, or did you really start reading as you got older? I mean, of course, academically, you are you had to do a whole lot of reading, and it might not have necessarily been the reading that you have wanted to do, but because you are a co-host on so many reading platforms, especially for, the podcast that's coming out, what influenced your love for reading? And at what age?
Um, I would say as a teenager, I started reading books that were similar to me, that had Black characters, something that I could relate to. I
Mm,
found that interesting. It caught my interest. Of course, you had your school books, and I was always interested in history, so that was a plus. But I like books that I could relate to, that in any kind of way, whether it was being a student or a mother or just a Black person, however I could relate to the story is what intrigued me and kept me reading.
okay. Okay. So what inspired you to write a book?
With writing, I wanted to share my story and I wanted to help others. I didn't want them to go through the same difficulties and hardships that I went through. I wanted to help guide them through it. So at least as they were going through it, they knew what to expect. Because as I was going through my own issues, there was no guide, there's no handbook, there's no one to walk you through what you were doing or feeling and what was happening around you. So I wanted to help others so they wouldn't feel the way that I had felt.
Okay. Okay. So how did it morph into starting to create a platform like Culture Reads and now moving it into a podcast? What was the motivation with that and wanting to be a part of that?
It was still the same drive of wanting to help people. I work in public health, so I like helping people in any type of fashion. With Culture Reads, it was with being a member of FTC, Culture Reads was a bonus. And
Mm,
I found that I was able to connect within the book club. It was a comfortable space. where I could be myself and express the topics and that I felt were important, and also have like-minded and even those that didn't necessarily agree hear a different side,
Hmm.
a different opinion of a topic that may be for the month or for that Sunday, however it may be. I really felt a connection, friendly family home type of comfort vibe. And so with the culture reads, I like that it's for Black and Brown authors. I like their mission. I like the goals, the mentorships that they're going to offer. I like what they're offering other authors who may be new or established.
Hmm.
I like because the promotion and the support that they give, you don't just get. And it is very supportive and it's refreshing.
Okay. And so what can people gain by tuning in to the podcast that's soon to release?
Well, with our upcoming podcast, we talk about relevant topics. We talk about things that you and I can relate to as not just Black and Brown people, but as people on a whole. We do dive into Black and Brown topics. We talk about investments. We talk about family, love, careers. We cover all the topics, things that make your world go round. We talk about it.
Okay. So how do you all choose the books that you're going to be reading from? Is it every month you read a book? Is it two books a month? How are you all selecting what books that are going to be read as a part of the culture reads?
So, with the books, we have surveys and polls that we do amongst the members to see what they're interested in, what they would like. And also, it depends on the season, what's going on, what is the current topics, what is
Hmm.
the latest release. Um, you know, Around election time, we may cover a book pertaining to differences that's happening,
Okay.
different topics, you know.
Are you all also tackling like the more difficult conversations around either race or injustice as well as a part of this podcast? And are you also choosing books that help shine light and give some level of awareness of what's going on with that as well?
Yes, we have covered a book called Gray Boy that went over different racism from his perspective and his experience. We do cover relevant topics of the racism with amongst Black and white people, colorism amongst
Mhm.
Black people in our community. That's a hot topic. We talk about being women. We cover all the relevant topics. We talk about pay difference.
Ooh.
We talk about climbing the ladder. We talk about education. We we cover all of the topics. We make sure we are well rounded. We will even throw sports in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I like
So we may
sports, but
cover
I'm not a
sport.
huge sports fan. But I'm just saying, so it's good.
Right.
It's good to know that no matter who taps into to tune into the podcast or become a part of the Culture Reads book club, and and for it to grow, you want that level of diversity. So I think that's something that's so admirable. So how can people tap in and know what's going on for the Culture Reads, and how can they be a part of it?
So, Culture Reads, we're going to provide you a link where you can join in on one of our Sunday Zoom meetings. We have a meeting every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're opening it up to potential members that would like to join FTC. You can always apply. If not, you can sit in on one of the book club meetings to see what we're chit chatting about. Might spark your interest. And also, we have an author spotlight where we may choose your book to be the book of the month. We may interview you, discuss it, and then also host you as one of our author spotlights on the Forbes the Culture website. And also the book club, our Sunday meetings is interactive and transitions into our podcast. So you get to be on the Forbes the Culture Book Club podcast.
Oh, that's very interesting. So what you're saying is that, anyone who taps in and the conversation and the dialogue that's taking place will then be reversed. And so that if you missed it, if you missed the Sunday, then you can still tune in and catch up with what was going on about the book and the conversations around it on the podcast.
Yes, and that will be launching at the beginning of this year
Okay.
or next year. Sorry.
How often? So it will be a weekly podcast?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So see, you all can tune in to this podcast, and so you can't miss anything. So so even if you read the book, you can always tune in to make sure that hey, I'm reading this book, and I want to know somebody else's perspective of it because I have my own perspective of it, and you can get that by tuning into the podcast. Is that's what I'm hearing, right?
Yes,
Oh.
that's exactly it. And we also have Spark Notes. So you may join in on our app on off page and see our book club. It is very nice. You can interact, join in on the conversation, the polls, and maybe join in on the giveaway.
Will you have to be a Forbes the member? Well, would you have to be a Forbes the Culture member in order to be a part of those surveys and whatnot?
We're still discussing it, but we're keeping it open because we like to have everyone's opinion in general, and then in certain matters, we'll just keep it for members only.
Okay. So how can everybody tap into and follow and know what's going on with the culture reads?
Well, we just started our Instagram, so you can follow us at Culture Reads, also hashtag Culture Reads, and that is our social platform for now. Or
Okay.
you can download the app off page.
Okay. And so how can people connect with you?
I am also on Instagram. My name on there is Author Shannon K. And then my personal Instagram is BossedUpK31.
Okay. So you all make sure you tap in, follow, connect, get in touch with Culture Reads. If you want to become a Forbes the member, a Forbes the Culture member, there's that application that's available. Just fill it out. You can't go wrong for sure. And you definitely don't want to miss out on this wonderful platform that they are building around literacy. So tune in and make sure that you connect. Thank you so much, Shannon, for swinging by and hanging out. And Merry Christmas to you and safe. Everybody, make sure you mask up, wash your hands, and take good care of yourself. And that was your unapologetic moment with Dr. G.